You're good.
So, welcome everyone to Women Who Lead, and thank you for joining us. This month, we celebrate Fair Housing Month, which is the recognition of the passage of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. And that is passed and it was promoted, something that Martin Luther King Jr. promoted, and we celebrate every single year and every single day in the real estate industry. And it's also known as Diversity Month, where it is a time that we celebrate the beauty of our differences. Today, we have three dynamic women who are leading their organizations with conviction, inspiration, and also impacting their organizations by creating cultures that celebrate diversity. Each of these women are dedicated to growing initiatives that expand and support an inclusive workplace and organization. My name is Teresa Palacio Smith, and I am Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America and HSF affiliates. And as you already know, my family's originally from Colombia, South America. And when we get together with friends and family, we always celebrate together by asking, would you get us un cafecito? Would you like a cup of coffee? And today we're getting together with some great friends over a cup of coffee, which, again, because that's how we break bread together and get to learn more about each other. Now, leaders are by definition change makers. When you are called to lead, you are called to advance, move forward, and improve the situation. Our special guest today, I have pegged as our change leaders because they're leading the charge to create great places to work where everyone is welcomed, accepted, respected, and valued. I love that, right? So let's get started with our chain leaders and learn more about them. So today I have Sherry Adams. Sherry is Vice President of Human Resources for the Ebby Holiday Companies located in the heart of Houston, Texas, and they have operations all over in the area, right? She started her career in real estate in 1996 and in 2008 was asked to lead the HR efforts for the organization. Sherry holds her At Home with Diversity designation. I'm so proud of that. Her PHR and her SHRM CP as well. And for those that follow HR, those are the highest designations that you can hold in the industry. She's also the executive advisor to the Ebby Holiday Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. And I remember meeting Sherry several years ago at our HSOA HR conference, and her passion for making an impact in her organization is evident the minute you meet her. And you're going to learn more about all that they're doing at Ebby Holiday in a few minutes. Diana Nolan. Diana is Vice President of Human Resources at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties, my old company. And she joined us at Georgia Properties in 2014. She holds a master's degree from Keller Graduate School of Management. That's so impressive. And she's also a SHRM member and has over 20 years of experience leading organizational HR changes and brings with her compassion and leadership. In addition to that, I still remember the day that Diana joined the company because we had an immediate connection. And I can tell you, she loves humor and also really makes everyone within the organization feel like they can be their authentic self, which Diana knows that is something that's really important to me. And then Darla Zink. Darla is the Director of Human Resources for Berkshire Hathaway Energy, and in her role, Darla is responsible for approximately 24,000 employees of all the subsidiaries of the Berkshire Hathaway Energy Company located in the US, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And she has over 30 years of experience. And prior to her role today, she served as legal counsel and also holds a master's degree in accounting. Wow, what a combination! From the University of Nebraska. And that's where she also received her law degree. And Darla and I met this past year when she became head of diversity, equity, and inclusion of our parent company. And she has made such a huge impact on the organization from the moment that she came on board. And I feel so empowered to be on her team. So we're going to talk more about the great initiatives that she has started in a few minutes as well. So why not? Let's begin with the change leaders. And so I'm going to start off, and I'm excited for all of you because I absolutely love what we are all doing, right? How did you get started in the business? And I'm going to start with you, Sherry, then Diana, and then Darla.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you know, Ebby Halliday's home office is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
That's right, Dallas. So I apologize for
Okay.
that.
That's okay.
Dallas, Texas.
I would get in trouble with Chris if I did not make that correction.
That's right.
My story is very interesting. I kind of backed into human resources. I was a realtor. Started my real estate business in 1996 in Spring, Texas, and moved back home to Dallas and joined Ebby Halliday in 2000, and was looking to go back to a corporate world position. And I didn't want to leave Ebby. Ebby meant so much to me. I was with the company for 8 years, and I was fortunate enough that an opportunity came about in the HR department for me. So it just worked out. And what's unique about me and what I do in my role, and I think that's why I'm so successful, is I understand both sides of the business. And I truly understand what the agent is going through. I'm very hands-on with onboarding the agents and that piece of it. And then at the same time, we're the employee side as well. So.
Wow, and that is so, an interesting concept because the independent contractors, you understand that whole model. You're really empathetic to what they're doing every day. And then you also work with our staff and our employees. I think I love that, Sherry, that background that you have. And Diana, I want to then pivot to you because I remember the first day that you came, and you know how I feel about you. My God, it was just so exciting to see you in our company. And I felt such a warmth and such a love. And again, being my authentic self, because I can be a little crazy, right? And I really do appreciate all that you do and bring to the table. So tell us how you got started, because I know you have an experience in the retail industry as well.
Yeah, so actually I worked at Target. I was a logistic manager for Target, and there was an executive HR who had a position open, and he thought that I would make a great fit for it. And he came and asked me and said that I should apply. And I mean, I had no idea what HR did. I mean, I just knew that they hire and, they fire and they interview and that's it. And, and his name was Bo, and he was like, there's more to it. And he says, Diana, I think you'd be a great fit for this. And so I applied and I interviewed and I got the position, and I've been in the position over 15 years now. I love the industry. And I came to work for Dan. Target was doing some reorganization, and so I wanted to do something different. And I put my resume out, and I got the opportunity to interview with Dan Forsman, and I didn't know who he was, at first, and I kind of did some research, and I interviewed with Kathy Conley and Tony McGowan. They told me, about this great man that they work for. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so nervous. And so I remember, Jackie Rice called me and said that, Dan would like to interview me. And so I went to the interview, and I'm like so nervous, like, oh my gosh. And, and Dan just sits down, and I'm waiting for these interview questions that he's going to have for me. He didn't have any. He just talked about the company. He talked about how much he loved the company, how much all his agents, employees are his family, and, and that he really cares for them and he cares for growth. And, and he knew everything about every individual. And I love to say, you know what? I want to work for that man. That man truly cares for all of his employees. And, and he talks about, like prayer and pledge and just how everything was so important to him. So now I'm here, and I'm happy to be it.
Well, and I totally relate with you because I also interviewed and was in that same position with you, with Dan. And certainly, both Dan Forsman and Chris Kelly, who run the operations of Ebby Halliday and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties, are just some of our top leaders in the organization. And they just really do. It resonates that importance, that impact that they have with all of us. And it comes from the beginning, right? It's our leadership where we actually are able to implement diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And I know, Darla, we are there too with Berkshire Hathaway Energy. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the role that you're in.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so humbled to be on the panel, not only with you, but with a couple of your esteemed home services colleagues. I appreciate the opportunity so much. I am fortunate to be in the role that I am at Berkshire Hathaway Energy. As you mentioned, I was a lawyer and a CPA, and I was perfectly happy practicing law. I was, I hope it doesn't sound too arrogant to say, I wasn't that bad at it. So I was kind of holding my own doing that. And I had volunteered for the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that our legal department was undertaking. And I knew enough in my career. I've always been told when somebody calls to ask you to do something and you have doubts or something like that, like try to keep those to yourself and just say yes, because people might see something in you that you don't see yourself. And so I was asked to take on this position as diversity, equity, and inclusion leader. It was a newly created position for Berkshire Hathaway Energy. And I just said yes. And it has been the greatest ride. I've been in position. It's a brand new position for our company, a new renewed commitment at the corporate parent level. And Teresa, one of the first people I met was you. And you have opened every door and connected me and done everything that everybody does for to help someone. And I'm so grateful to you for that. So yes, I'm new in position, and I got here because I said yes.
And that's such a great lesson, right? Because a lot of times we're so nervous as women, as minorities, as people of color, that we just wonder, right? Gosh, am I up for the task? And because of the fact that every single show on Women Who Lead has a theme, I believe change leaders are such an important role, and each of you are change leaders within your organization. So I'm going to start with you, Diana, and then Sherry. Tell me a little bit about some of the initiatives, because you both have new councils that you have within the organization that play a huge role, but also at the Home Services America level, we have implemented a lot of great initiatives that come from our top, from Darla, right? So it's kind of like a trickle down effect, because she's kept us with the pace of what we want to accomplish, and you guys are doing the role and the work. So how does that work, Diana? Have you been able to do and what are you doing locally in your marketplace to really kind of focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts?
Okay. So Tracy, as you know, you've been with our company for a while. This has been a focal point for Dan for a long time. Even when you were with our company, I think Dan was partnering with you about how we can get minorities to be able to be homeowners and educate them on how to be able to acquire a home in the future. So with that, Dan has a passion with that. And then, of course, with the unfortunate death of George Floyd, Dan pulled the leadership team together, and he was saying, you know what, we've got to do something. We've got to be able to communicate to our team and to our agents and our staff that, racism has no home here. And what can we do to uplift our community and show our community that we care? And so I think at that time, Teresa, I think he did kind of partner with you, working with a diversity team that he actually created. And he wanted this committee to be based of, mirror the community that we served. And so we have agents that's on, and we also have employees. They're doing an amazing job. They created a book club. They were educating themselves on how they can uplift the communities. And then they're taking what they've learned, they've taken it out to the agents that's they're working in the office. They've created, type of training programs that, anyone can join. They're actually encouraging other agents to join organizations to help, support the community.
And I think there is, you hit it spot on, because obviously we talk about Dan, and Dan actually he hired me, being a Latina, knowing all that. This was 20 something years. He's always been ahead of his time, right? Always a trendsetter, really knowing ahead of what is happening in the marketplace and where do we need to go, and really creating that importance, right, in the initiatives that we are undergoing. And you guys have created videos and all these phenomenal programs that really have helped spread the word of how important it is to be inclusive in our environments. And I know, Sherry, you guys have done the same. So talk a little bit about that as well.
Well, yes, we have. Chris, we were acquired by Home Services June of 2018. Late 2019, Chris came to me and said, we need to form diversity council, and some thoughts, and we thought through And we reached out, we actually, reached out to two of our sales leaders, Sylvia Kidd and Pamela Young, and, asked them if they would be willing to assist with that. And now they are our diversity and inclusion officers. And so I work hand in hand with those ladies, and it's amazing what we have accomplished in such a short amount of time. I'm so proud of our diversity council, like yours, Diana. It's just made up of agents, our employees, and then it's some of our core services. And so we're just getting started. We have designed a task force, three different task force, for one for community outreach, one for marketing, and then the other for education and membership. So we're just getting started with that, and it's forming. And then, of course, we provided education opportunities for our leadership. We're all certified at Home with Diversity. And then, of course, now with Fair Housing Month and with Gino's initiative of getting everyone to recognize that, we are implementing that. We've made two different videos and rolled that out. So I think, I'm proud of what we're doing. We're very proactive, and we do everything hand in hand with the entire company. Leadership is behind it, and that's what makes it work for us.
It really does. I mean, that's where it comes from the top, from Gino to Chris to Dan. And each of you also, I just have to mention out there, have opened offices in areas that are very diverse. That's exciting. You're growing, you're empowering, and also the biggest wealth creation that we know is homeownership. And so those opportunities are now being let out to our communities so that we can impact and make a change there. And Darla, because of you, I have learned so much that I had no idea. You are such an inspiration to so many of us because you really live and breathe that. So tell us a little bit about what you've done, because you have come in and just like, whoa, we've taken off.
Well, not unlike what Diana and Sherry and you are doing, Teresa. I mean, certainly my role is unique in the sense that many of the subsidiaries of Berkshire Hathaway Energy are doing much of the hard work, just as Sherry and you and Diana have mentioned. I do have the opportunity to use the platform of the corporate parent to bring everybody together. And frankly, that's one of the most rewarding aspects of my job, is allowing us to share knowledge, to say like, well, what worked for you, and to talk about what home services and HS franchise are doing, to allow us to bubble that up, because in some ways you are ahead of some of our other energy subsidiaries. And so it's so great that, you have a dedicated DEI professional, not only at the home services corporate parent level, but also Sherry, you mentioned at your own, at your own subsidiary level as well. So just one thing that I'm doing that I'm super excited about right now that I'll mention is I'm having two speakers come in who wrote a book. It's Dr. David Smith and Dr. Brad Johnson, naval officers, white men, who wrote a book called Good Guys: How Men Can Be Better Allies for Women. And as a result of that, we're building up to their presentation. And everyone is reading the book. And I've got a young white male leader who is blogging about his journey through the book. And it is so interesting to see, yes, there it is, to kind of see how he's awakening and the issues that he's grappling with. And then his peers are loading into that and commenting. And so I just mentioned that because Teresa held up the book there, but that is a wonderful book to get men to activate on behalf of women. And because we're talking about change makers, and because we're talking about women in leadership, it might be a way for your audience out there, whether they be men or women or non-binary or trans or LGBTQ as they identify, that they'll be able to help get men activated to lead on behalf of women and people of color.
And I'll put the book in our comments so people can get it, join it, and read it. I think it's a great book, and I'm excited about having this initiative and really delving into getting more of our men to really kind of buy in, especially in different companies. They're already doing it at the home services level, I can tell you that. And one of the things that I want to talk about let's pivot to leadership, because I think that was a great way to discuss. Each of you are a minority, right? We're all minorities, and we all have dealt with challenges, perspectives, different, times that perhaps we were challenged, right? And so, Sherry, I know that your background, I love it. You're originally from Iran. And so tell us a little bit about how that perhaps maybe shape some of the things that happened to you. Did you face challenges? And that way we can share with the audience so that they're aware of things that happen and how we can overcome them.
Well, I mean, being from Iran, my parents made a decision to come to the United States in 1976. So I've been in the United States for a while, but at the beginning, I can tell you the challenges that we had. I don't know if everyone recalls the hostages. So when that was happening, I was living in East Texas at that time. I was living in Tyler, of all places. And so, we felt people, they knew where we were from, and it was really hard. It was hard going to school. I remember this, I was in the second grade, and, the lack of education, lack of knowledge, it was a very hard time in my life, I think.
And we've all faced those, right? But gosh, I know that had to be so difficult. Mm-hmm. And Sherry, thank you for sharing, and also, understanding where you are today. And a lot of times that adversity really does make you so much stronger, because you're able to see people. I think you're in the perfect role, right? For me, it's the compassion that we have and understanding, hey, I've experienced that, so I don't want anyone else to experience that. Diana, how about you? Because I know we've talked about that, being, two women, right, in the industry and at Georgia Properties at the time that we both joined, right? And the differences that 10 years has made, right, since you became part of the organization.
Yeah, totally. I just wanted to share, there's one thing that, we talked about as far as diversity and recognizing each other is, as women, we need to support each other and make sure that we're there for each other. And I just wanted to share something that when I was talking to Sherry, earlier today, I remember when I was a flight attendant, and I remember I was the lead flight attendant, and we were going on some international flight, and there was this cute little girl. I mean, she was adorable, and she was so interested in, what we did, and she was asking all the questions, and she wanted to see the cockpit, and, we did all these little things for her. And I remember I was the flight attendant lead, and I got her this bag, and her mother was so nice. And I got this little girl this bag, and, the captain, we gave her a pen, and I remember I pinned it on her, and, we all felt good. And I remember when I was walking away, she looked at her mother and she said, Mom, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be a flight attendant. And what kind of devastated me, her mother looked at her and said, oh, you will not be an air waitress. You'll be more than that. And it was just like, it was, with me, it kind of resonated that, is sometimes, we kind of hinder our own self, and, the mother didn't realize that, most of the flight attendant that was on the flight, they had a college degree, they were certified. And, and just with that, I mean, I think I'm blessed with that, but I think that's the only thing that really sticks out in my career path with that, because that kind of resonate with me. And I know that when I did leave flying, I wanted to make sure that I did finish my education, make sure that I did my degree, and make sure that, that I did do something that I'm going to be proud of, and make sure that later on in life, that if something ever comes up, that I won't judge someone based on their title or who they are.
Oh, that's so true. Gosh, that's beautiful. You don't judge people by by any means, right? Except for their fortitude and the personality and the character that they have. And thank you for sharing, Diana. How about you, Darla? What have, and I know you also have experienced, different levels of difficulty as well.
Sure, you bet. Thank you. And what Diana said really resonated. particularly when you said, we need to support each other. I think that's been the difference in many cases for me. Who among us hasn't faced adversity, right? And I heard it from Sherry and from Diana. Occasionally that steals you, and it certainly does for me, because sometimes that adversity, and you alluded to it, Teresa, can steal you to want to do better or push right through it or succeed just to prove them wrong. And I know I've got that in me, and it happens. I say all the time, well, that's fine. They can try to break me, but they will not. I will outwork them. I will do more. I can stay up all night. I've been up for 2 days at a time before. This doesn't bother me. I will get this done. It will get done, and it'll be done well. So I know I have that in me. Now there's certain things though that we have to support each other, and that's what I always love. Many of you remember Madeleine Albright, and she had that famous quote that she said all the time. There's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other. And so I really feel like we have to leave the ladder down, and we have to pull those women that are coming behind us up. And I think that's important that we stay focused on that. And part of doing that is what we're doing here today. Talking about it, being that support system for other women.
Yeah, it certainly starts with a conversation, and it certainly starts with understanding how important it is for us, because, it happens. I mean, especially for women, you think it happens with women, but women of color, for us, I know that there are sometimes that we get into a situation where you think, well, they only have one person, so it's got to be me, and I can't, have anyone else, or otherwise, I won't have that opportunity. That happens a lot. I know in the Latino communities where people don't always promote other women, and there's a jealousy once they get to the top to want to bring them down. And I just don't get it. I don't think men do that, right? That's not something I see men doing. So I'm always about making sure that we're constantly moving women forward. And with that said, I really want to know from each of you, has there been somebody that has mentored you, that you or a role model for you that you've actually seen and said, hey, I'm going to follow them and help in my career, so that I know, I can share this information with others as how to get started or where to begin. And Darla, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, I would say not just one. Over the course of my career, it has always been women. I will say that. And maybe that's unusual. I can't wait to hear if that's the case for Diana and Sherry. But it has always been women for me who have served as mentors. And they typically have been not only people who are, I'll say, older than me or more mature in their careers, but sometimes even younger women have helped me think about what I'm doing now, or what I should be doing now, maybe doing a better job of leadership. You hear now reverse mentoring. But when I was early on in my career practicing law, there was a group of the Wichita Women Attorneys Association when I was a brand new lawyer. And I'll never forget, a friend of mine now, a good friend of mine, called me up, and I was just a brand new lawyer in town. I didn't know anyone, and very fresh and, kind of wide-eyed. And she said, hey, I'd like to invite you to this meeting of the Wichita Women Attorneys Association. We all get together and we support each other. And she was calling from a big law firm, a prestigious white shoe law firm. And I thought, wow, this is cool. She doesn't even know who I am. And from there on, I started going to those meetings. I met a whole nother group of people. That group became kind of my lifeline, if you will, at that point in my career, because it was, again, it was in the 80s and the 90s when things weren't as good as they are now. And so that group of friends that I made back then continue to be kind of my core circle of trust today.
Oh my God. And there's always a spirit of camaraderie, and we learn so much from each other because we can share stories and also share, situations or scenarios that we bounce off. And I have found that that's so true for so many women. As I've interviewed them in the past, there's a common denominator, and that is that they do also find mentors or organizations that can help them in their leadership and also support them. How about you, Sherry? Let's go with you.
I'm the same as Darla. I mean, in my career, I've never had like one mentor. It's always been a variety, and it has been dominantly women that have, that I've looked at and I've learned from. And I was put in this situation when I started with Ebby, Miss Ebby herself, the Executive Women's International. It's a local chapter here in Dallas. And at first I was like, oh God, I have to go because, she's my boss. I got to go, can't say no. But then I was so glad that I went and I joined and I became a board member. I met other women and it was just amazing. And then also just being given the opportunity to work in such a great industry. It is led by strong women and you can't walk around and not see and read about strong women and get to know people. I think you're absolutely on point, Darla, in regards to that.
How about you, Diana?
I mean, I have to agree with, everyone else. I mean, all mine is mostly women. Started off with my mom, she was, a strong woman that pushed me, to step outside my comfort zone. And even when I came here to work for Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, all the amazing women that we have on our team. I mean, we have Kathy Conley, who's like, just as you said earlier, Teresa, it's just a wealth of information who, when you see Kathy, you know what you're going to get. I mean, she's the same way every day. We have Deanne Golden, I remember when she was the managing broker and then she got promoted all the way to senior VP of regional manager. I mean, and she did that lateral move and she's just a bundle of, positivity. And then of course, Lori Lane, she created her own division, new homes and luxury. And I mean, I work with amazing women and every day when I work with them, I just take a little bit of each thing that they do and try to incorporate it to my life and to my career path to make me a better person. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just a little bit of a mixture of everyone that we come in contact with.
And Sherry, I couldn't agree with you more, Diane, about all the phenomenal leaders. That's why we did this show, because we don't see everyone behind the scenes. And since we're all local, not everyone gets to see all the great leaders that we have within the Home Service America family of companies, as well as Berkshire Hathaway Energy and all the diverse leaders across the country that are really part of the roles that we play. I'm really lucky in many areas because I'm able to see and meet all of the leaders, but also with what's your said, I have also had that impact that women, starting with my mother, right, Mercedes, and then also I was the chair of the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where I first got my leadership opportunity, and that was led by Sarah Gonzalez, who passed away several years ago, and she was an amazing woman leader. But I will tell you that the men in my life that have promoted me the most, the people that promoted me the most have actually been men. And so that to me is really interesting because, with what you said, Darla, with the book that we're going to read, we have had some great men who really have impacted my life. Gino Bafari, Chris Stewart, Alan Dalton, and of course, Dan Forsman have all elevated me. Gary Costa, who's the president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, Juan Martinez, who first saw me in the role of leader for NAREP. So all these have been men. So thank you for all the men that do support us in the industry, that really impact our lives and that really help with our roles, because sometimes we do need that little boost up, right, to tell us you can do this, right? You can hold this role and you can certainly impact in many ways. So as we're really getting close to our time, I can't believe it. Tell me, what has made the biggest impact in your professional career? Like, what have you found to really be the biggest thing that you can share with the audience that's impacted you? And I'm going to start with you, Sherry, and then Darla, and then Diana.
Well, the biggest impact in my career has been truly given the opportunity a seat at the table. And I never would have imagined that my career path would lead to where it is today. I worked hard. I work very hard. I will work until the job is done. And it's just, it was recognized. And to me, that was big. And so that would be for me. I mean, Darla, what would you say in regards to that?
Yeah, Sherry, I agree with that. I'm not always successful at this, but I'll tell you that I often think about the biggest impact, I try to apply the rule of thirds. And many of you may have heard of that, right? The rule of thirds is kind of 1/3 of the things that you're doing ought to be right in your core competency. You could do it, kind of half awake, right? The next third ought to be a stretch assignment. You ought to be trying to stretch yourself into something new, continue that learning process. And then the final third ought to be just sheer white knuckle terror. Have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just forging ahead, right? And I have some of those today, Teresa. You and I are working on some of them. I'm like, I'm not entirely sure how this is gonna work out. But as women, I think we're often more risk averse than men. I think it's fair to say that's a stereotype, but we're often more risk averse than men. And to succeed, sometimes you gotta fail. And so don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it, and just fail forward, fail humbly, and try to move that white knuckled terror third down into the stretch assignment third. So
Well, of course, the failure is, when I fail, I learn from it. So it's pretty good.
we
Exactly.
all do, right? It's so true. I love that. I love that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and that scared, when you really are scared. And how about you, Diana?
I have to agree with you. I think that, it's just an honor just to work for the company that I work for. I mean, we work such a great company. Working with Dan, I mean, every day I'm learning something different. He's always pushing me out of my comfort zone. Just being on this call, as everyone knows, I am a true introvert. So this is really a lot for me. And I just remember that, just yesterday, Dan came into my office and he was like, "You're going to be great. You're going to be fine." And, and just with the pep call with that, just the pep talk that he gave me. And also too, just knowing, Sherry, I don't know if, you experienced previously in your HR field, is just, sometimes with HR, it's kind of hard for leadership to really take HR seriously. And I love the idea that, Dan understands the important role that HR has, and, and that he gives me a voice and my voice is heard. Not saying that he always agrees with everything that I want to do, but the thing about it is he values my opinion. And I think that that's really great. And I think that's going to help, us as women and minorities to go a little bit further, is that when we get leadership like Dan Forsman, that we can succeed and do, to do better and, and go to the next level.
Wow, that's so beautifully said. And it's so true, because I know Dan, and getting out of your comfort zone. And I'm going to tell you, I just did a huge event. We all talked a little bit about the Belonging Summit. And for me, I was scared to death to do it because, it was counting on other people that, I'm a big control freak about, okay, I got to control everything. And I realized I got to let other people help me with this and create the program that we want and have the content set up. And is the content good? Is it, and again, you cannot help but just do it. I'm just one of those people, let's solve problems, let's go out and get solutions, let's just do it. So I totally relate with exactly what you're saying. And Darla, perfect, spot on. And Sherry, absolutely true. And Diana, I know Dan, and Dan, we're giving you lots of shout outs, and also Chris Kelly, because it's really important that you guys know how much we do appreciate the fact that you are, always supporting, and of course, Gino for sure as well. So now we are out of time. So I'm going to ask you each to give us your favorite, this is always our final question. What's your favorite quote, your favorite book, even movie that you really kind of resonates with you as we end our show? And so Sherry, I'm going to start with you, Diana, and then Darla.
Well, the book that I really read at least once a month is Dare to Lead. I learned so much. It's by Brene Brown. She's just very inspirational, and I read a lot of her stuff, but that's the one go-to that I go to every month. I every time I read it, I learn something new. So that's mine.
So Dare to Lead. I love it. I've actually not read that book, so I'm definitely going to put it on my Audible, because I'm not a reader. I don't love to read books. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I love to listen, right? Darla knows this. It's just like, but I love to do Audible when I walk or do exercise. That's where I learn my books. But I love this book that you gave me. First of all, it's nice looking, right? And it just seems like an interesting read. So I definitely am excited about getting that. How about you, Diana?
So mine is a favorite movie, which is Imitation of Life. Have you heard
Oh,
of it?
it's Imitation of Life. Tell me, no, I'm not familiar with it.
So it's actually written, well, it's a movie as well, but it's written by Fannie Hurst, and it has Lana Turner and Mahalia Jackson. Basically, just a quick snapshot of the story is there's a Black woman who actually has a child who is biracial, and the child passes as white. And when she gets older, she actually kind of disowned her mother. And her mother gives her everything. And at the end, her mother, I hate to say this, her mother passes away. And then she comes to reality that she lost her best friend. So it's really a sad movie.
Oh, wow. But, it's very interesting because even Darla and I talked about that, how sometimes, we do try to lose our roots and our background and become something that we're not because maybe we think it's a better route. And because of the fact that for so many generations, many people did judge you, right? Based on the color of your skin, based on, things that were not important in this life, right? And so you felt like you had to lose your own language skills. So many people didn't keep their language capabilities. So I know with many of my friends that are from Iran, they don't know a lot of the language or the culture because they lost it because they felt like, I don't want to do that. I want to be, more, fit in, belong more. And so I think because of the cultures that we're creating, it's certainly making such a huge impact, and everyone out there understand how important it is to be yourself, be authentic, right, Darla? Which I know that you have really championed for all of us within our organizations.
Exactly. I love that. And, it's going to be perfect because Sherry has a book, and Diana has a movie, and I have a quote. So I feel like I came out of the womb practically an activist. So I love reading about activists. I love learning about history and movements. And you can see on my wall over here, I've got the 3 movements that are important to me. Seneca Falls, the start of the women's movement. Selma, the start of the civil rights movement. And Stonewall, the start of the LGBTQ movement. And so my favorite is a quote by Margaret Mead, the lesbian anthropologist. And she said, "Never forget that a group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has."
Oh, that's
Nice.
beautiful. I love that. Wonderful, Darla, and love your wall. I love that. That's absolutely beautiful. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. I enjoyed my cafecito with each of you, and certainly just learned so much from each of you and sharing your stories and your backgrounds. And I really want to thank you for leading and promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in our organizations. It's such an important role. And I found this great quote that I believe describes each of you, and that no one is born a change maker. It's something you become when you see a problem, then dare to become a part of that solution. And that is a quote by Melinda Gates. And I think each of you has done that. So thank you for all of the work that you do. I really, again, loved doing this program because of people that really share their stories and are leaders that women are able to also learn from. So as we move on, I want to thank all of you for joining us today and also for watching the show, right? And for continuing to follow us. And don't forget, please join us that in 2 weeks, that's on April 28th, where we continue to celebrate the month of April for diversity. And we're going to be talking some additional diversity champions who are going to continue to help us and inspire us so that we become change agents within our own companies as well. And so thank you again. Don't forget to join our Facebook page, share our episodes that you can find on Women Who Lead series on Facebook and our YouTube channel as well. And as Darla also indicated, remember that always it's important for all of us to bring other women up the ladder with us as we climb to the top. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great, great week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.